This podcast is for support and inspiration only. It is not medical advice. Always talk to your doctor or care team about what's right for you.
I applaud you for approaching this topic on your podcast.
Weight loss part is gone, but now it's the living part that you have to kind of deal with. So it's not always negative. Sometimes the spicy stuff gets scary too, guys. So less fat, more sex. Got it. I'm telling all my business. Some people have said that after weight loss, they feel less sexy. Why does that happen?
So many reasons.
If your sex life changed after weight loss, you're not broken. You're not alone. This episode goes there. We're here with Liz Mallers, and she is a certified sex educator. And we're getting ready to have a fun discussion. I've been waiting for this episode to kind of dig deep into what is sex like after bariatric surgery, which I didn't think was an issue or something you had to kind of consider throughout this process. But going through it myself, I see that your sex life can be affected in some type of way from weight loss surgery. So I'm excited to jump right in and get some questions answered from you. So welcome, Liz.
Thank you so much, Jatoya. I'm excited for this conversation, probably just as much as you are. I love doing podcasts like this, and you and I have spoken before, and I just love the conversations that we have. So I know that it's going to be a rich discussion.
Yes, we had some light bulb moments that we'll, touch on in a little bit, but it was a very, very insightful conversation we had. So let's get started with the one thing that no one really warns you about. What's the biggest sexual surprise most people experience after major weight loss?
So everybody's different. This is a very generic answer. So your experience may not abide by what I say on pretty much all of my answers. But what I have discovered too in chatting with you is a lot of people are experiencing body dysmorphia after weight loss. And, you might expect to have a spike in libido. You might expect to have good body image or, being able to do other positions that you might not have been able to do prior to significant weight loss. But you might not expect to have body dysmorphia or feeling, disconnected from the skin that you're living in because your house changed.
Yeah.
That one is incredibly unexpected and kind of, I would say a negative side effect because it's not fun to have an experience. It can be very jarring too if you're not told that this could be a possible effect after significant weight loss.
Exactly, because everyone's just like, I gotta lose the weight. I gotta lose the weight. But once the weight is gone and this body you are left with is completely changed, you gotta kind of now address that part. Like the weight loss part is gone, but now it's the living part that you have to kind of deal with. So I agree. It is different, but that body dysmorphia can really affect people. So what do you say when you are experiencing body dysmorphia? What are some signs that might be a signal that this is affecting your sex life?
If you are feeling pulled out of the present moment, if you don't feel like you're just lost in the heat of the moment, that could be a sign of body dysmorphia. If you are what's called spectatoring, which is kind of like performing. You're kind of going through the motions performing like, oh, I wonder what I look like from this angle for my partner. Oh, I should do this or that for my partner. And you're more focused on your partner's enjoyment than your own. That could be a sign. If you are disregarding your pleasure in not only just like not advocating for your pleasure, but if you're feeling displeasure or pain and you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna kind of just roll with it and take my mind somewhere else. That's more what it is dissociating a little bit and taking your mind elsewhere to get through it. Numbing yourself mentally is a major sign of body dysmorphia.
So when we were discussing, I told you that I was kind of experiencing that, and I didn't realize what you had kind of like highlighted to me, that essentially like my mind is like leaving the moment.
Yeah.
Like explain that a little bit.
That is your brain is so powerful. and your brain is very smart.
Mhm.
And it will leave your conscious self as a form of self-protection. So if you're feeling unsafe, it will, in a situation where you feel like, or where you feel like you can't escape, whether you want to escape or not, your brain will remove its conscious self to say, okay, well then I don't want to experience this. I don't want to commit this to memory. I don't want to live in this moment. So I'm just going to put myself over here while this is happening, and I'll come back when it's all done. And that's kind of what's happening. But it's a form of self-protection. So it's not all bad, but it is a sign that something might need to be addressed. Like if you don't feel safe, maybe it's with the same partner you've had and you feel perfectly safe with this partner, like in your rational mind, but something has changed. Body weight, the way that you feel in your own skin, your mentality around your sexuality, maybe the way your partner's treating you positively still. It's different. So it feels different. So maybe that different experience in all of those areas just feels unfamiliar, and the unfamiliarity feels unsafe to you at the current moment. And it's okay.
Yeah.
You just got to take a pause.
Yeah, like during our discussion, when you told me that, it took us like a second, but we were able to figure out really quickly that for me, it was that sex after weight loss is adventurous, is a little different. It is not as predictable. And that was what was triggering for me, is that I didn't know exactly what was going to happen minute by minute. And that kind of made me disassociate. So it's not always negative. Sometimes the spicy stuff gets scary too, guys.
Yeah. Even if it doesn't get spicy, like maybe somebody's partner is being very timid to do things because, you know, you've had a surgery and not really sure what to do with your partner's new body yet, and you kind of want them to lead the way, and maybe the person who had surgery is like, hey, come get me, you know, and maybe that dynamic, that power dynamic shift is weird and
different.
scary and unfamiliar.
Yeah.
So it can come from a lot of different experiences.
So some people have said that after weight loss, they feel less sexy. Why does that happen?
So many reasons. Some can be the excess skin that they hold and feeling, you know, they're feeling different in their body again. It can be like, it's just unfamiliar. You can have even if you're in a body preoperatively, is that the word? You're in a body that, you know, maybe that you're hoping to escape and get into a thinner body, right? Maybe that body though is you've learned to love on that body, and you've learned to feel sexy in that body. That was what you knew. That was your safe place you knew how you felt in lingerie. You knew how you felt when you were touched right there or just so over there. And now we talked erogenous zones. Maybe those have shifted. Those parts on your body that feel good when touched, that are not necessarily, you know, your hotspot genitals, maybe those have shifted or changed. Maybe you're not really sure what to do in your new body. Maybe you feel a sense of expectation from yourself or your partner. That's whether or not it's a real expectation or a perceived expectation. Maybe you're putting some pressure on yourself, and, you know, that pressure just is not going to help you feel sexy.
Yeah.
So you're learning how to dress lingerie in your new body. You're learning how to look in the mirror, recognize yourself. And
That's the thing. I'll be like, who is that?
Yeah. And it's going to be hard to feel sexy if you're like, that's not even me.
Exactly. Like, I don't know what looks good on this body yet.
Yeah.
And one thing I didn't even realize is what we think is sexy or what we think causes us to feel sexy. You don't really realize it until your body changed. That it's not like linked to how you look. It's linked to how you feel and that comfortability that you have in your own skin. So whether you're a size 2 or a size 22, if you're not comfortable, that's going to affect your sexiness more than anything.
Right. Yes. Yeah. That's a better way of saying before, when I was like, yeah, you know how to dress the body that you're in. You're confident. You know this. Like, this is your bread and butter right here. And then it changes. You're like, wait, I don't know. I'm not confident in knowing what looks good on this shape or size, or I'm not confident in that being me. So how can I feel sexy if that's not even me?
Mm-hmm.
And that disconnect, you got to figure out how to bridge it together. And if you feel like a disconnected whole person, that's a very vulnerable spot to be in. And so
Mm-hmm. At a
sharing
vulnerable time.
at a vulnerable time. Yeah, sharing yourself, your naked self, presumably, in such an intimate moment, such a vulnerable moment, if you don't feel like you have a good grasp on your sense of self, well, I mean, forget about feeling sexy. You're just trying to feel like a whole person. Yeah.
That's true. That is so true. So you have mentioned erogenous zones and that they could change throughout this weight loss journey. Can you explain how does that happen and how do you start figuring out your new zones?
Yeah. Well, so like I said, that the spots on your skin that feel good when stimulated. Now, it doesn't have to be obviously sexual or erotic when they're touched. So, a very common one is like the side of your neck, or maybe the back of your arm, or the inside of your wrist. So, these are just spots that maybe you get goosebumps when it's stimulated just right, or maybe it just feels like a nice affectionate touch. When turned on, it can feel more erotic. And so, if you think about significant weight loss and how your skin may shift, obviously that may shift around. The way that your skin lays on your body may affect the feel that you perceive with it. And also your erogenous zones and your sexuality changes throughout life anyway, and preferences change throughout life anyway. So that plus your weight loss,
Mm-hmm.
plus trying to feel connected with your new and changing body. It's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
moving parts there.
It's a lot of
So
layers, guys.
it's a lot like so exploring your new body and finding your erogenous zones, rediscovering, does this still feel good when my partner does this? Or what new things can I discover that feel good? Or what doesn't feel good? That's just as important to know. You can do it by yourself or with a partner, but I always suggest laying as naked as comfortable on the bed and just going from head to toe and really slowing down, like 20 minutes for the whole exercise at least, really slowing down and plugging into your mind body connection. Start with your scalp and just start like massaging your scalp or playing with your hair and what feels good. Does that not feel good? If your partner is doing this with you, how do you want to communicate that? Your partner asking open-ended questions, you communicating, yes, this feels good. No, it doesn't. Maybe it's a 5 on a scale from 1 to 10, moving down the body and just, really slowing down using your fingertips, your nails, the back of your hand, and just going at it with an open mind and a rediscovery lens.
If this is hitting home, go ahead and follow the show. And if you haven't already, join the Facebook group Bariatric Paths, Your Journey, Your Tribe. You can also sign up for the email list at bariatricpaths.com for updates and event info. About the libido, because some people after weight loss skyrocket, they're ready to go. All they gotta do is think about it. And then other people, it's a slow moving train and we're trying to build it up to get there. Is there anything specific that causes that reaction after weight loss, or is it everyone is different?
A little of both. So libido is controlled by testosterone. Testosterone is prevalent in both women and men. It's obviously higher in men, but
A lot.
a lot. When testosterone is converted to estradiol, I think, basically a form of estrogen by fat cells, by fat tissue.
Oh, wow.
When the more fatty tissue that you carry, the more of your testosterone will be converted to estrogen, which is going to not help your libido. The less testosterone you have, the lower your libido. So with weight loss, with less fat tissue, the higher your testosterone will be.
Okay.
So that's where that experience in the spike in libido comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly. It's also a little contextual. So if a person is not experiencing body dysmorphia and they're just like feeling on a mental high about things, and they're also going to be more motivated sexually to hop into the bedroom. They're not experiencing any negative feelings surrounding sex. But if you are having some kind of body dysmorphia, or you're just not super settled into your new and changing body quite yet, you're not going to be as excited to share that new and changing body with somebody else. So it's a little twofold.
So you
there.
probably could still be experiencing the spike, but you're just not feeling it, so it kind of dies down on its own.
Yeah,
Makes
exactly.
sense.
Yeah.
So less fat, more sex. Got it.
Generally speaking. Yes.
Okay. So how do you rebuild that sexual confidence so that when your libido is ready, you're ready too?
So you can start before your surgery. And if you're partnered, talk to your partner. Say, hey, let's just talk about our expectations. Let's talk about our concerns. Let's make sure that we're just having open dialogue right out the gate before anything does change. Talking about your concerns with a partner before any change happens is fantastic for two reasons. One, it gets you talking about sex in general, which not enough of us are really good at doing with our partners anyway. And also it puts it all on the table. A lot of your concerns might be diminished just by saying them to your partner, and your partner responding in a manner that helps you feel better about it. So instead of letting it build and build and build throughout, on the back burner throughout your surgery and post-op.
And
so
that's
then
really big, like to have that discussion before, because like I said, I didn't even know this was going to be a thing. So we just was keep going. And it was like, once the problem started, we were just like, wait, what's going on? Like, I'm sexy now. I'm cute now. Like, why isn't this working like it was before? And you're not even, we didn't have a discussion about it. So we're both just kind of like just winging it and learning each other and not really communicating. And it's a mess.
Yeah. And even if you didn't know to expect any kind of, crummy feelings afterwards, you could say, hey, remember when I expected to feel perfectly, intimate and high libido? That's not what's happening. Like, you've already opened that discussion. That line of communication is already there. And you can say, remember when I said that thing? Yeah, that's not happening. And I expected that to happen. So I just wanted to let you know where I'm at. And then you can have the conversation of, okay, what do we do about it? If anything, what do you need from me? How can I support you? Yeah.
So forth. Exactly. So what about if you are not partnered? What if you're dating through this experience? How would you prepare for that? You might not even know this is an issue yet if you're single.
So dating, still check in with yourself prior. Like, what are my expectations? What are my concerns? It's good to know those about yourself, like a little mental journaling almost. Post-op, if you want to be on, everybody is different. If you want to be honest about it and say like, hey, I just had bariatric surgery and my body's changing. And, sometimes naming the beast, the concern of yours, helps you feel like it's so manageable. I can conquer that beast, no problem, because you've named it and it's out in front of you and it's not swirling in your head. So for some people, talking about it right out the gate is nice for them and manageable. For others, not saying anything and just living it out and seeing how it goes is, a better option for them. So maybe feel it out, see what feels more authentic to you. Try a couple hats on and see which one feels best,
Because it's like, unless you get the skin removal surgery, best thing to kind of keep it nice and tight is a good girdle. So if you're dating and everything, it doesn't come up and you're all snatched and tight with the girdle, like, they may never know, but once that girdle comes off and all of the skin is swaying back and forth, it's kind of like, okay, is this the moment I say I lost 150 pounds?
Right. And for some people, they're going to want to say that in the moment, like, by the way, yeah, I accomplished this. Let's keep going. Some people are going to want to give a little heads up prior, and other people are going to be like,
turn the lights off.
Turn the lights off. And others are going to want to keep them on and say, you know what? I know I'm going to give you a good time. I know I'm going to have a good time. Let's just have a good time and not have to talk about it. Yeah, like I said, just do what feels most authentic to you because sexuality really is so personal. And so that's why a lot of my answers are like, it depends here, it depends there, because really I can give you a script to follow, but that might not feel like you. And so it's not going to feel like it's not going to give you pleasure, not just physical pleasure, but mental and emotional pleasure to go to approach it in that manner. So whatever makes you feel the best is really what is the best for your sexuality.
And honestly, it needs to be said because unfortunately, a lot of people in our society don't know that it's your choice. You are in control of this. Even after surgery, this is like your experience. It should be something you enjoy and you have just as much say over it. If it feels like a chore, you're not doing it right.
Right. Right. Yeah. You are 100% responsible for your pleasure, no matter surgery or no surgery. Yeah, it's up to you.
It's
But
important.
yeah, so definitely advocate for yourself. And yeah.
So how do you do that? If you need to have that discussion, whether dating or with your spouse that you've been with for years, how do you like advocate yourself in a way where it's not awkward, but also blunt? Because let's be real, sometimes you got to be as clear as possible with the
Yeah.
communication when you're talking to men.
Yeah. Clarity is good. Well, and are you talking about just saying like, hey, these are my needs in the bedroom?
Like, yeah, so once you figure out like your new positions and your new zones and you're getting more comfortable with it, how do you have that conversation with them so they know how to adjust to
Yeah.
these changes as well?
Well, so there's two avenues to this. There's the in the moment feedback, a little to the left. You can use the shortcuts like, you're going up and down on my clitoris. I need you to go in circles. Okay, that's a little too large. The size of a pea. Nope, that's the size of a penny. Go small. The size of a pea. Yep, that's it. No, but the other way. Just being very clear, very direct, exactly what you want.
That is so clear. That's clear, girls.
That's clear. And guess what? They're going to remember that.
They're gonna be like, circle, circle, circle.
And you can, again, do it what feels good to you. So if you're like, hey, you know what? You can make it sexier than what I just said. Like, hey, I'd really love it if you did like this. Ooh, that feels so good. But actually, you can make it sexier. But so there's the in the moment feedback like that. And that's great for just direction, right? Like up and down versus circles, or I need your pressure to be firmer, things like that. If it's more critical feedback, like, saying, hey, if you want to tell your partner that you want them to initiate in a different way, that's more critical feedback. You're not going to want to say that in the moment when they're trying to initiate. That you're going to take that conversation outside of the bedroom because talking about sex is work. You want to keep your work and your play separate, mentally and physically. You're going to want to have that conversation when neither of you are hungry, angry, lonely, tired, or too far under the influence.
Good luck with finding a time where all of that is not happening.
Why? It's a good idea to just send them like an invitation for this conversation. Hey, babe, I wanted to talk about something that's been on my mind. It's just talking about initiation. I've got some ideas I want to try out. Let's have a conversation. Do you think that you would have the mental capacity for it Friday night at dinner? And just give them a heads up that you're talking about it. And that way, maybe they come to the table with some ideas too. And it doesn't feel so one-sided for you or them. And you can have your conversation, get it done. Halfway through the meal, neither of you are still hungry. It's before you have your post-meal, food coma, and you're not lonely, you're together, whatever. So that's what I suggest with the more critical feedback.
And so during our session, because to prepare for this episode, we did like a mini session together and I absolutely enjoyed it. She knows what she's talking about. Definitely follow up with her. She's good. But one of the things you said was a tool was red, yellow, green light. And that's kind of like some in the moment feedback that is clear, but maybe not so explicit. Can you explain that tool?
Yes, the stoplight method for consent. So with partners, you consent to having sex together, right? This is consent or permission for certain sexual acts in the moment. So when you're, doing something and your partner is checking in with you, this is something that you would take outside the bedroom and first have a conversation like, hey, I'm going to start implementing the stoplight method. Here are the rules. When you check in with me, if you're doing something new, or if you see that my face is a little, like not connected, or I might just say green. That means go, go, go. I love this. This is awesome. I'm enjoying this so much. Red means stop what you're doing. Stop this thing that's happening. I do not want to revisit this. This is a hard no for me. And yellow is, you know what? This might be okay, but I need to slow down and ease into this a little bit. TBD on the green versus red on this one. It's a yellow right now. We need to slow it down. So chat with your partner, make sure that they understand your stoplight method. And so during whatever you're doing, you can very quickly tell them, check in with your partner and let them know or ask them how they're feeling about what you're doing. Or just how they're feeling in general. Like if your partner is somebody who is experiencing body dysmorphia or dissociating during sex, and you're starting to see them kind of like, have that look on their face like they're not here present with you, you might be like, hey, let's check in. Stoplight, where are you at? And if they say, oh yeah, green, green, green. I just saw a bug on the ceiling or whatever, So it's an easy way to check in without having to find the words for it. If you have to find the words for it, you might not say anything, or you might stumble, or it might come out wrong.
And you're worried about hurting feelings then. It's going to ruin the moment. Yeah.
Exactly.
So very helpful. You also kind of suggested for if you're like dealing with body dysmorphia, some other things you could bring to the bedroom that kind of help you not focus so much on like the extra skin and everything that happens with that. Can you give some of those suggestions of what they can bring to the table to make it a little bit more enjoyable for them?
Yeah. So when somebody is having a hard time feeling present, which is what's happening if you're like thinking about skin flapping, or if you're thinking about how your body might look from that position now, that's taking you out of your head. You're not really fully in the moment. So what you can do is play with your 5 senses. So with eyesight, you can turn all the lights off or get a blindfold and just take away your eyesight. And it's amazing how taking away one of your senses obviously really forces you to rely on your other senses. And it recenters your brain a little bit to come back in and not be out in swirly thinking mode. Blindfold is, it's like a little cliche, a little kinky, but it can be really helpful for some people. You can, with your hearing, your sense of hearing, you can put in earplugs, or you can put on music, or even a white noise machine or a sound machine to kind of drown out other noises that are distracting, like the dog barking across the street, even that can be distracting. With a sense of touch, this is a little different, but vibrators obviously are helpful and really jolt your attention to where it is, because it's so different than what, an organic feel would be from like a human body. And we also had talked about the grounding method. So your partner laying their body weight on you and like literally grounding you into the bed and pushing your body weight into the bed. Obviously making sure you can breathe and everybody's comfortable, but that sense of pressure and pulling your body down keeps your head in the game a little bit easier. What else do we talk about?
You said headphones. Back to the hearing. Headphones. That was helpful. Get you some headphones.
Was it? Oh, good.
Because that was one of the things. The flapping. I couldn't get over it. And when we talked about it, he didn't care. So earbuds was helpful for me to zone out, and he can still have fun, but it was very helpful to have the headphones on.
Oh, good. I'm so glad that helped. Headphones, yes.
I'm telling all my business.
That's okay. We can share. I feel like, though, talking about it more, I'm so glad you're having me on and having this discussion, because all of my clients and all of the audience members to workshops that I've done say, oh my gosh, like I don't talk about this particular thing or sex in general with anybody. And it just feels so good to talk about it. And I feel, it's always, am I normal questions, or is this normal? And yes, everything's normal as long as it's not painful, and as long as everything's consensual. Yes, it's normal. And the more we talk about it and discuss it with each other, within reason, I think that it will help us all overall. So I applaud you for approaching this topic on your podcast.
I know, I'm crazy like that, I guess. But it was really like just interesting because I became more comfortable having the conversation with my husband after having that session with you.
Oh,
It's just
good.
kind of like you said, like once you just start and you realize like, okay, it's just a sex. Like we're just talking about it so that everyone can have fun. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
It kind of takes the pressure away of feeling like, am I being judged? Like, am I being a bad girl to talk about sex outside of the bedroom?
Right.
That's the preacher's kid in me. Sorry, I'm born and raised in the Baptist church. So that's a whole nother episode.
That's a few episodes, I think.
Exactly.
That's a whole podcast.
Whole podcast. To BD. We'll do that later on. But okay, so what is something that our audience could do tonight to feel more comfortable in their own skin?
Okay. I'm going to throw out a few suggestions.
Okay, get your notepads, girls. Let's go.
Get your notepad. You choose whatever one excites you the most, or maybe choose the one that scares you the most. Woo, if you feel daring. I would say, okay, so the first suggestion is improving body image, or getting to know your body a little bit more by looking in the mirror as naked as you're comfortable, and go through and list everything that you love that you're seeing, everything you love about yourself. And maybe it's, I love my eyelashes and I love my ears. And maybe it's period after that, Okay, try it again the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and watch how that list grows, and watch how your love for yourself grows. Another thing you could try, which I think everybody should do, is practice gratitude. So many studies have proven how this can literally change the connections in your brain to think more positively. And practice, all of this is mindfulness. All of this is a practice. So, your results will be more fruitful the more often you do it. Practicing gratitude for yourself and your partner. If you're feeling disconnected from them, that can help too. But if you're feeling crummy about yourself or your body, or even just in general, just at night, or you can start your day, name 3 things that you're appreciative of yourself. So, if you're a mother, I appreciate that my body was able to carry and birth a baby, if you're a birthing mother. I am so glad my body can let me know when I'm hungry. And I'm so grateful that I am able to shed light on the world with my smile. It can be like those, and try to get some different things going in. Bonus points if it's about your physical body, if that's a hang up for you. Showing gratitude to yourself is monumental in feeling self-love. All of this is going to help your intimacy, because RuPaul's Drag Race, RuPaul says, if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love somebody else? And
That's the truth. That's the truth.
It all starts with you. So yeah, those are 2 things that I would say. Choose one of the 2, or the erogenous zone exercise, and go through and really feel on your body what feels good, what doesn't. And if you already know, fine, just go give yourself some physical love.
And mine is to find sugar-free toppings.
Also that.
Well, this has been so much fun. I enjoy talking to you so much, Liz. Thank you for coming on the show, and hopefully you'll be back. But until then, where can our audience find you if they want to, use you for your services, or just to get some extra resources from you?
Yeah, so my website is my name, lizmallers.com, and my email is liz@lizmallers.com. You can also go on my website. You can fill out a get to know me form or get in touch form, and that'll go straight to my email. And yeah, I would love to work with anybody who is just wondering about what it's like to work with me. I'm also happy to have, a phone call and just talk through what that's like too. So it's not a commitment just because you're reaching out to me. So just start the conversation. If there's one takeaway, just start a conversation.
She's really good. Honestly, I went and I was like, I don't know what to expect. And we had made so many revelations in 30 minutes. I was just like, oh my gosh.
It can be overwhelming, but it's fun. I like doing it, and I love talking to people, and especially about this. So however I can help, I'm happy to.
Well, thank you again.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being on the show.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
Before you go, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button and share this with someone walking their own path. Join the Facebook group Bariatric Paths, Your Journey, Your Tribe, and sign up at bariatricpaths.com to get all the details on upcoming events, support, and more. We're in this together. Go out there and crush it. This podcast is for support and inspiration only. It is not medical advice. Always talk to your doctor or care team about what's right for you.